before I got on, I was like running through everything one last time, trying to think of like what's like my go-to on this album, and it's so hard for me to pick like my top track off of it, and like
That's
they're all so good.
that's music to my ears, dude. You know what I mean? That's what I hope everyone says that, you know?
Right? Um, I'm trying to think. Do you have any questions before we get started?
Not really, dude. I got my beer right here. I'm ready to go.
Hell yeah, then let's do it. What we'll do is I'll count us in, we'll crack these beers, I'll do the little intro, bring you in, and we'll just have a good time.
Awesome. Sounds good, dude.
Hell yeah. All right. In three, two, one. Welcome to the Beers with Bands podcast with your host, Michael Torres. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beers with Bands. This week, I'm sitting down with the band Sunday Morning. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for
Hell
having
yeah.
me, man. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to drink this beer. I'm drinking a Fuzzy Baby Duck. It's a Connecticut beer from New England Brewing Company. And I'm ready to
Hell
chat.
yeah, dude. Dude, yeah, I'm stoked to have you on. I think you're also the first Connecticut band I've had on the podcast.
I
So
believe that. I believe that.
so it's always nice to have another first on the pod. And before we get too far, can you tell the people who you are and what you do in Sunday Morning?
Yeah, my name's Wes Benjunis, and I sing in the band Sunday Morning.
Hell yeah! And then obviously we are missing a few members. I think last I counted, there's about five of you total in the band. Who are we missing on this fine Tuesday?
Jason plays guitar. Mike plays bass. Eric plays drum, and Dominic plays guitar too.
Yeah. Well, like I normally say, this is where we kind of pour one out in their honor for not being here. By pour one out, I just mean we have a drink in their honor. So this is
To
to
my
those
boys,
dudes.
man. Love y'all.
But like I mentioned, you are in the band Sunday Morning from Connecticut. It's kind of like an alt rock, kind of pop punk, but not like easy core. Granted, there are like some riffier spots, but I wasn't. It felt more like on the hardcore side than like easy core side, if that makes sense to anyone listening. Um, and definitely no crab core moments, so nothing like that.
Not
But
yet. Yeah, we're,
no,
we're saving
okay.
we're saving that for later.
Oh, dude, hell yeah. But I mean, you guys have been around since I think like 2019. Put out your first EP, Nothing Matters, in 2019. Which for people that haven't listened to that, also go check that out. That's first EPs are always hit or miss for some bands, and that one's still a ripper because I went back and listened to that one today leading up to this,
I appreciate
and it's
it.
still super solid.
Thank you.
And then you also have, just kind of giving the backstory. You also have an EP out, well, not an EP, a split EP out with some other mutual podcast homies. What makes sense? Who have been on the pod,
Dude.
which that was solid too. I think I remember when that was rolling out and seeing them like post about it leading up to
Mhm.
it, and so it's kind of that nice little like full circle moment.
Yeah, that's cool. They're fantastic people, and I love them with all my heart. So that was a fun project to do.
Yeah. Like how'd you decide to like do that EP that split with them? Um, was it kind of just like a had you guys like been touring together or like doing like what was that connection like?
Yeah, so we first met what makes sense. I think it was like 2019. We did a run with them kind of like around the Northeast, and that was like the first time we met each other, and we obviously became super close friends. And then like, the pandemic hit, and we kind of, no one was playing shows and stuff like that. So we reconnected after that once shows started coming back again, and then we we wanted to release music during that time period, but we just didn't know what if we wanted to do like another EP or a full project, and we had a bunch of songs written. And I think it was Adam from What Makes Sense hit us up and asked if we wanted to do a split, and we recorded them at the same place that they recorded some songs that they had. So it kind of just coincided with that. And it's kind of how it all started. It was kind of just like a on a whim kind of thing. They hit us up and we are like, yeah, sure.
That's I think one thing that I really love about like that whole East Coast scene is, especially like Connecticut's right in that mix of like New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Like you guys are right off to the side where everyone I feel like is very tight knit and connected because really like the traveling to each other's like locations really isn't that like crazy. It's like different here in the Midwest where we're going like 6 to 8 hours to go do
Yeah.
something. And that's like one thing that I find very like envious in a good way of like just seeing the connections that are made because um like one other thing that we talked about before was you know the dudes and goalkeeper are also
Yeah.
mutual homies
Yeah.
and stuff
Those
like
are,
that.
they're our best friends, man. I love those dudes.
I was actually gonna wear my goalkeeper shirt, but I wore it the other day, so
Oh,
a
yeah.
little dirty. But that's why I'm rocking the floor space. Shout out
Oh,
floor
yeah.
space.
Another good band. They were just on tour with Goalkeeper, right?
Yeah, I got to see. They came to town, so I was able to see them in person for the first time after having them
Awesome.
on the show.
That's great.
Um, but yeah, like that's the thing I love about the East Coast is just everyone's so intertwined and connected in like the best way.
Yeah, it's cool. I never really thought of it until you just said that. And, from Connecticut, we're all in like, central South Connecticut, which is, like the New Haven area extended. And, you know, New York City is an hour and a half, 2 hours given traffic, and Boston's 2 hours north. So it's like everything is really, really close. And, it kind of, everything's so accessible and playing with other bands and stuff is very accessible around here. And we were like, we were booking shows for like stuff down south and it's like, holy shit, it's from like Virginia to Charlotte is like 5 hours. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's just so much spread out. I guess we're pretty lucky on this side.
yeah, because like here in Minneapolis, like there's a great scene here in Minneapolis, and then a lot of people are really good friends with like the scenes in like the neighboring states. But even like if anyone from Minneapolis wants to go play, like I think Fargo in North Dakota, I think that's at least 5 to 6 hours, and then Iowa City is usually another hot spot, and that's an easy 4.5 5 hours. And those drives are just boring as shit. Living in
There's
the
nothing.
Midwest, there's nothing. There's
There's
nothing.
literally nothing.
But yeah, you guys are just like a hop skipping away from New York City, which is obviously like so much shit going on there. But it's
Yeah.
really nice to see the connections that have happened, especially like doing it on this end of the podcast. So, like all the people that are like, oh yeah, you had so and so on that we know, and kind of like how this happened.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
just nice
saw
to
the
see that whole
goalkeeper
like
one. Yeah, I saw the goalkeeper one. And I was like, oh,
yeah, it's great. And then that's all that is leading up to your sophomore EP called Forget Me Nots, which I mean at the time that this episode comes out, it'll be out for a week already,
Mhm.
and people should have run these numbers up like crazy because like this EP is so sick, and I gotta thank you so much for sending it to me ahead of time.
Yeah.
Uh, it's been great to listen to. Like I said before we started, like it's so hard to even pinpoint like my top track on this because every song just hooks you in like the perfect way.
That's awesome. That's very, very kind. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I know when we were talking about like the split, you said you already had like kind of a bank of some songs kind of written. Are is this your basically like your COVID post COVID like album?
Yeah, we've had these songs, the songs on Forget Me Nots, we've had some of them for like, since the beginning of pandemic and stuff. So we've been sitting on them for a while and I think at this point we tracked them last maybe 2 Decembers ago in the studio. So we've been sitting on like the masters for a long time too. So this has kind of just been a long time coming. It really is tough to like sit on music that long. Um, and then, obviously you kind of get some self-doubt after just sitting on it and listening to it so many times. You're like, shit, should I really put this out? You know what I mean? But I think we're all ready to get these out into the world and stuff. So
Yeah, well, I got it. Like I said, these all sound great. So, going away from your self conscious and your self doubt of being like, oh, maybe I should change this, or maybe I shouldn't put this out. Like, I'm happy this is coming out because all these songs fucking rule.
Dude, me too.
Um,
Thank you.
and like that's been a running theme too on this show is like how every band is just sitting on stuff for so long, and like people don't fully realize it. Especially like DIY bands. Like, yes, you're seeing we're living in the moment of like this Drake Kendrick rap beef going on, and like
Yeah.
they can put out songs quick,
Which is
but
wild, dude. Some crazy things
it's
going
insane.
on. Dude, I've
It's
been
so
following
stupid.
it too. It's
Something like I think one of the songs dropped like 30 minutes after the other one. Like, it's
wild.
like insane.
Insane.
Um, but like in real life, that's not the case for a lot of people. It's we
Yeah.
record it, sit on it, get it mastered at some point, and
Mhm.
like I always say, like I commend every band so much because I sit on these episodes for like a month, and I can't even fathom doing any longer than that.
I know. It's hard, man. It's hard. You get it. But sometimes it's for the better. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you wait for the right moment and it'll eventually come, you know?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing too is like listening to like some people that I've had on or I listen to their unreleased stuff and stuff that's about to come out. And it's like you wrote this X amount of time ago and it fits better now than it did then. Like it's also in like the landscape of what everyone else is putting out, and so it's like dropping at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, you guys have been sitting on this one for a while. Is that were you kind of wanting to do more of like a summer portion, or were you guys just kind of waiting for like like what was how did you determine what the right moment was to finally put it out?
Well, we shopped it around for a while and thankfully Open Ears Records out of Richmond, Virginia, you know, um, they put it out and we signed to them and they've been a huge help and in terms of like everything going on behind the scenes and stuff. And I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with, um, in that sense. But, I think summer is usually a good time to release music. Um, I don't know, just personally, I would, it's just like something about when the weather turns and you just want to, listen to music. So, I don't think we've ever released music this early in the summer too, which is kind of weird. Um, but hopefully it all works out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
dude. I mean, it's like I mean, it's coming out, you know, mid to late June. I feel like that's like a good moment because like people can start listening to it, adding it to their playlist, going
Mhm.
out, having a good time with their friends, and it's already there. Like
Yeah,
because sometimes I feel like you get in the moment of like, oh, maybe I should release it in like July, but then like it's already kind of that moment where it's like, oh, the summer's like halfway over. Like most of the shit we wanted to do, we did already. It's too hot to go out now. It's like that crazy moment.
no, that's a good point. And you know what? Especially for me, like I feel like music is so, like you could listen to a song and remember, the exact time you heard that song for the first time and where you were and what the weather was, if it was raining, if it was hot. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a big part of, you know, subconsciously releasing music and stuff. Just having that to kind of build around it too.
Yeah, and this one will be set perfectly. Hopefully, it's a nice, sunny and cool day for everyone when it comes
Dude,
out, and
it better
that's
be.
what's in their mind.
It better be.
Because this EP is like a perfect, like it's angsty and like riffy enough where like it's a perfect roll down the windows, crank it up a little bit,
Yeah.
go on your drive, just do like that drive to work, drive home, whatever. Like it's a perfect EP for it.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
And then I know like some of these questions, obviously, I want to be asking if when you're listening to this episode when it finally comes out, it's gonna sound like Michael, you didn't do your research, but we're recording before the singles have even dropped. Um, so my question is like, I know you're doing two singles leading up to this EP.
Yeah.
Kind of like what were the singles or what are the singles and like what was your reasoning behind releasing those specific ones compared to like a couple other ones that might be on this album?
So it was tough. We wanted to do. two singles because there's only 6 songs on the EP, so we didn't want to do three or four and kind of just drag out the rollout of the EP and stuff. And I think there's doing two songs kind of saves, because like at least when I listen to new music, I like to sit down and just listen to it in its entirety. And when bands put out 5 singles and there's only 5 more songs to listen to, it kind of sucks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you just want more to listen to. So I feel like, and OIE, Open Your Ears was a big part of this too. And we felt like two was appropriate for a 6 song EP. But we were originally going to do Agonize and Forget Me Nots as singles. And then since we were sitting on them for so long, we kind of switched up and changed it to Broken Glass was the first single and Wait was the second single. Um, and those two songs kind of just, I feel like, are better representations of what the EP really is. Um, I think just Broken Glass is, a really, really important song to all of us. And I think dynamically it has the valleys and the peaks of a song, and I think that's something that we really wanted to accentuate and kind of let people listen to first. And then it has that kind of heavy, you know, hardcore influenced bridge and breakdown and stuff. And that's kind of what we were going for on this record. So I feel like that was a good introduction to what is to come for the rest of the EP.
Oh, 100%. Like being in where I'm at now, where like finding out what the singles are going to be like, those make total sense. And the nice thing is too, especially with people that might have listened to the singles and like not the EP yet, and they're now going to go listen to it because they need to be listening to it. It also does this cool thing of because you show one version of Sunday mornings in these singles,
Yeah.
and when you get to the later half of this EP and you get to like Mon Calamari and Cordially, where you get those like softer sections where we see this whole other side of Sunday mornings. It's not That's the nice little treat for someone that's like going through it just based off like, okay, the singles got me hooked, I'm ready to listen to this in full. You get to those and it's that nice little like, oh, they could do more than just this. Like they're a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, and that was another thing that you hit it on the nail, you know what I mean? Like we love heavy music and riffs and screaming and big chorus and stuff, but we're all very influenced by like all 90s and alternative music, which is a little softer and more melodic, and there's not as much distortion, there's clean guitars and stuff. And Mon Calamari and Cordially are just, we wanted to put those towards the end, so it's like a treat, you know what I mean? And you get something different too.
I mean, and the way like it ends off the record in such a nice way too, where you're almost like, damn, there almost needs to be like another couple songs to just go finish this out and just see what this
Right.
A and B side could be.
Right. I know. I wish we could have added like at least 4 or 6 more songs to that called an album.
uh, I know this jumping ahead of ourselves, but is there plans for like doing a full length at some point?
Yeah, eventually I think that's in the plans, and I don't know entirely when or when that's going to happen, but it will eventually. Um, we consistently write and we consistently demo, and we're always trying to try new things and make new sounds and try weird shit. And so we're always cognizant of that and just trying to make new music at all times. So yes, eventually there'll be an album, I think.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I feel like there's been a lot of EPs this year that have just been so solid, and I'm just like I can't wait to see what these bands can do on like a full length, because I mean I get hooked by like song three, and then it's there. Most EPs go either 4 to 6.
Mhm.
By the time it gets done, you're just like fuck.
I know.
Hit repeat and just start over again and just imagine what it would be. And like this is definitely one too that I'm really stoked to see what you guys can do in that full length field.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird, it's um the whole like landscape of music and releasing stuff, especially in DIY, is It's like interesting right now because like, obviously, like music today is very like singles focused and, you know, getting as much shit out as you can. And I feel like sometimes, that kind of gets lost with, full lengths and stuff like that. Because I mean, there's just something about sitting down and listening to a full length album. You know what I mean? It's like you're really taking 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on how long, you're just immersing yourself in that music. So I think, I hope that like full lengths and shit like that continue to keep going on, even in the climate that we're in right now with singles and EPs and stuff.
Yeah, and surprisingly, I feel like this year, at least for the people that I've had on the show, most of the people are doing like EPs or full lengths. I do have a couple people coming up that are putting on singles, and nothing against the bands that have decided to go doing the single route. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I understand it going that route and like
Mhm.
the exposure and like just keeping the momentum going. But
And that's what it
I'm
is.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and
It's
I'm
just
like you, where I also like sitting down and listening to an album,
mhm.
and it's hard when you're just putting out singles or a band's just putting out singles and you go to listen to like maybe a collection of them and they just don't. There's not that cohesive like storyline to it. Where like
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
got to get the same, you got to get a certain feeling throughout a whole EP or an album, but it's hard to do it on the singles route.
I
Um,
know, dude. It's so tough because that's a really good point because like when you listen to an album, there's not all the times, but most of the time there is some kind of theme, and or whether it's they meant to do it or not. You know what I mean? But there is just like that cohesion to all the songs and but dude, it's fucking expensive to make a full
yeah.
length, you know what I mean? And it's just shit's just hard, man. You know what I mean? So like I don't knock anyone who does the singles, you know what I mean? It's
Oh
tough
yeah.
out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I totally get that. It's also cool too, though, in the aspect of yes, it is expensive, but it's cool to see the bands that have like taken that as like a I can't think of the right word, as like a an obstacle that they have to overcome where
Yeah.
they're like learning all this stuff, or like they have someone in their band that like has become kind of like that engineer sound person,
Yeah.
and they're doing it all in house and just seeing like the ways around spending all that those copious amounts of money.
Mhm. No, yeah, it's a really good point. And you're starting to see a lot of bands like go to the same producers and engineers and stuff like that. And I think that's awesome. You know what I mean? I think it's like in its own way building, its own community. And you kind of see it all over the US too, which is I think it's awesome.
Yeah, like I think there's someone here in Minneapolis that has done a lot of local bands albums, and I think they basically just turned like their garage into like their own home studio,
So
and
sick.
they're
Yeah.
cranking out like amazing EPs out of there. It's
Yeah.
amazing to see.
That's how, dude, that's how scenes start, man. Like shit like that, where you just get a few people who like really give a fuck about the scene and really believe in like all these bands and the DIY scene stuff and like you just got to see more of that shit, you know what I mean? Because that's really what's building the scene is just that everyone getting together for the same reason, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of scene, obviously, like I mentioned, you're the first band that I've had on from Connecticut. What's it like in Connecticut? And you've toured around, so you know like kind of what some other scenes are like. Does it feel like the is it does it feel like the stereotypical scene where it has its ebbs and flows, or what's it like?
Yeah, yeah. We've been doing this since 2018, 2019, so we have seen a lot of change um over time, but I think right now the Connecticut scene is doing really, really well. A lot of really good, up and coming bands, a lot of bands who've been here for a while and are really, making that push. Um, and it's cool because like we talked about before, how like New York and New Jersey and Boston are and like even Long Island, like Long Island's cranking out so many fucking good bands. And I consider Long Island like their own scene instead of New York. You know what I mean? Like I
Oh
don't
yeah,
I don't consider Long Island New York. I consider Long Island Long Island. So it's like Connecticut is in between all of these, scenes going on and it's really cool because there is a scene in Connecticut where there's a bunch of Connecticut bands that play together. But just having those interactions with all these adjacent scenes is it's great. You meet a ton of people, you play a lot of really cool shows, and it's just, a lot of show share swapping and stuff like that. And it's really just good for the overarching, you know, genre and DIY scene just in the
Oh
Northeast.
yeah, yeah. I also agree with you where Long Island is its own thing,
Yeah,
own
dude, Long
beast
Island's
of a
sick.
thing.
We're
Um,
like we're
I
like kind of we're like kind of we record on Long Island, and we're really good friends with a lot of Long Island bands. So we call it like Long Connecticut or Connecticut Island and shit like that.
hell yeah, dude. Uh, jumping back into this EP, obviously it was some time in the making to kind of from start to finish to get this out. I know we kind of hinted or like talked about how there was that little bit of self doubt putting it out, but was there the opposite where it was like, oh, maybe this song needs this instead? Like, is there a song that drastically changed from like the original inception to this final release that we're seeing?
Um, I don't I don't think anything like significant. When we write, we try to like um we try to get like a good skeleton of the song in terms of structure, and then everyone kind of puts their own flavor into it. Dom will put his riffs on, Jason will put his stuff on, Michael put his stuff, Eric. Um, so I think that when we demoed these songs, they were all pretty much, good to go and solid in terms of structure and stuff. I think a lot of it was just like we wanted to really experiment with tone, experiment with pedals, and kind of just like step out of the box from our previous record, and just try new things. We used a lot of chorus pedals and stuff on like distorted guitars and shit, things that we would have never done in the past. And we used this thing called the theremin, which is like one of those little things. You know what a
Yeah,
theremin is? Yeah, yeah. We
yeah.
use one of those, and it's like it shows up a bunch of times on the record if you listen uh real good to it. But yeah, I think a lot of the changes came from like kind of just like on the go stuff in the studio, which is like my favorite part of being in a band is like being in that creative environment and just being able to be like, yeah, well, let's throw a fucking flange pedal on this distorted guitar during the chorus. You know what I mean? If it sounds sick, it sounds sick. So I think there's just a lot of that going on.
I gotta say, I think you're the only band that I know of that has added a theremin to their album.
The
Like
thing
that
was
is,
so sick. We have videos. I mean, the videos will we'll put the videos out sometime, but dude, we were like holding bacon, egg, and cheeses up to it and like flipping around shit. Like we were being ridiculous. But dude, like I don't know, like they're just like prominent moments. I think in the breakdown of Broken Glass, it's pretty prominent in the mix, and I can't forget there's another song, but
oh, dude, that's so
it was
dope.
called it was called Uma Thurman, we called it.
I remember, I think it was last Halloween. I went to like a Halloween show, and the band that was playing, like they had a theremin up on stage that this dude was playing, and I was just like looking at my friend. I was like freaking out, like, dude, do we see what's going on? Like, who else is doing this? No one else is doing this. Come on, man.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to add it to our live set. Maybe when we start playing these songs live, we'll have to get a theremin player or something. Be so ridiculous.
It'd be it'd be definitely unique and super cool. So
All right, might have to do that.
at least if you do like the album release show, it should happen at least
Yeah, I
during
think
that.
so. I think so.
Uh, I mean, speaking of album release show, is there plans for something in the works? I know this comes out. Uh, this episode's late June, but
Yeah. So by the time this is out, yeah, we're doing a release show on June 21st, in Connecticut and New Haven. And then the night before that, we're doing like a pre-release show in New York City and Queens. And then we're going to be doing a run down Philly, Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland. And then we have some other plans in Boston and Albany. towards like July and stuff like that. So
Dude, hell yeah.
yeah, so
Uh,
yeah, we're just trying to play as many, shows as we can kind of to support it and get it out there.
yeah. Which we'll talk links later in the episode, but hopefully, those are all solid, packed out shows. Like I not normally say, I haven't said it in a while, but I'm not on the East Coast. I'm not going to be in Connecticut, so you all have to go to either the Connecticut or New York shows for me in my honor.
That's right. And
It's
if you
like,
were on the East Coast, I know you'd be there.
dude,
You're the homie,
I'd be,
man. I know
yeah.
you'd be there.
Uh, Trying to think here. Like I've said, this EP is super sick, and I had trouble coming up with kind of my favorite,
Mhm.
because even before we fully started, I was trying to run through everything one last time, skipping around to be like, okay, was this one? Is this one? And there's so many good parts that happen in like every little song where I start to listen to a song, I'm like, okay, this is the one. I go to
Mhm.
the next song and I'm like, oh, with what they just did here, like this one takes that spot. So it's very difficult for me. But I'm gonna pose, the typical like warp tour question that I would normally do, and you can tweak it if you need to. But let's say, all these people are in line to get into Warp Tour. You got your minute, 2 minutes to go up to them and be like, "Yo, my name is Wes. I'm from Sunday Morning. This is my band. Hand them a pair of headphones. What's the song that you're playing for
Oh,
them off this EP?"
oh my God, that's tough. Dude, that's such a hard question. My gut says, wait. The first song. Uh, And I think shit, I don't know. I'm gonna say wait. I'm gonna say wait because it's 2 minutes and 20 something seconds. It starts off fast and it ends fast. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
2 minutes of just driving and ripping. And I really like the chorus on that song. There's that cool little bridge. Um, I feel like that would be enough to hopefully fucking win someone over. You know what I mean? 2 minutes.
I feel like that's the best answer because, like you said, that one is a quicker song, but it's right in your face when you start this album. Um, like as much as you know, it'd be cool to like have "Forget Me Not." Like I feel like "Forget Me Not," you'd almost have to wait till like a certain like chorus to have them listen to it. Not saying that the rest of the song is bad. It's just like to really get them hooked. Like you got to wait
Yeah.
for that chorus. Whereas "Wait" is just like right in your face, ready to go.
Yeah, and when I think that was the last song we wrote for the EP too, and immediately once we tracked it, we're like, this has got to be the first song, and like, it's cool because it's the first song on the EP, but it could be like a really cool opener for a show, and I think that's kind of the mindset that we had when we were writing it.
Yeah, I could see this opening it up. And then, I mean, I also feel like the track order is done really well. Where kind of how we talked about earlier, where the later songs kind of have those softer moments where you kind of just take us for that ride, and then you kind of just let the roller coaster set off into the distance, and as it
Mhm.
slowly stops to kind of end off the EP. Um, but yeah, like Wait's a good choice.
Right, yeah. That would have to be the one. I also like. I think Agonize might be a cool one too. But like you said, like, you would have to play them the chorus or something. You know what I mean? Like, wait, you could just get it right from the rip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one thing too that I really liked about this EP is, I listened to it probably not to brag, but like 4 or 5 times today leading up to this. Um, but it's good and it's like catchy too. Where like by the second to third listen, I was already like singing along with it, just because it's nice and easy to like vocally hear and like pick up and like just kind of run with it, which is always like a fun little thing to be able to do right away almost with an album.
Yeah, that's like that I think that goes back to like our influences. You know, we all collectively have a lot of like heavier, like easy core and hardcore, um, influences, stuff we grew up on, stuff we still listen to today, and but like I said, like we really, all of us really love like '90s alternative music, and that shit is just unbelievably catchy, and like there's something to say about an earworm, you know what I mean, where you hear a melody in your head and you just can't get it out. And like I think that's a really, really important aspect, regardless of any type of, like, you could be writing some screamo shit, you know what I mean? But like if there's a little, melody or guitar lick and something that gets stuck in your head, like that's what it's all about, you
Oh
know?
yeah. And then obviously, kind of how we mentioned, you're working with this label to kind of help do this whole layout. And again, this isn't me not doing my homework; it just hasn't been announced yet. But what are the plans for like the release? Like, are you guys trying to do any tapes, CDs, trying to get anything pressed to vinyl? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch. We're gonna do tapes. I think that's all we're gonna do in terms of uh, physical releases of the album. But we'll have a bunch of merch that visually goes around the artwork and stuff like that to kind of like coincide and keep everything, um, the same. But yeah, tapes will be available on the Open Years website, and we'll have some at our shows too. So if you're on the East Coast or Mid Atlantic and we're coming through, you should pick up some tapes.
Oh yeah. Well, stoked to see that. Like I said, we'll talk some links here in a little bit. Are you doing any like special colorways for these tapes?
Right now the ones we have are translucent purple, which is sick. Uh, and if that sells out, then maybe we'll do another color. So y'all got to sell them out, and we'll do something else.
Dude, that translucent purple. Like looking at the album art again, like that'll go together very well. I feel like.
Yeah, it's a really cool color, and translucent tapes are sick. Tapes are back, man. Tapes are back.
They are. They are.
They're awesome.
I only have a few because I haven't decided if I want to spend money on that after having like I have my like vinyl collection. But yeah,
Yeah, that's the
tapes are
thing.
coming back for
Big
sure.
time, big time. I got to get a cassette player because I don't have one. I want to be able to listen to it. So
Yeah, all
that's
like
on my
the
to-do list.
yeah, like I think the five that I have are still like in their wrapper because I have nothing to play them on. They're just kind of sitting on the shelf.
But even like that's the thing about tapes too, and even vinyl too. Like you can hang them on the wall or something, or you can put them on a shelf, and they look cool. Like the
Yeah,
spine design is really cool, and you could take them out and display them however. You know what I mean?
yeah. I was someone. I think it was Brady. Shout out Brady from Thumbs Up Records. He had posted
Great label,
that
dude. Great label.
it's it's great. But he had just posted that he filled like he had bought a tape holder and he finally filled it after like 3 or 4 years. And just like going through and looking at all the spines of everything, um, it is just really cool to see in like that format because I've never seen someone fill that up, especially the size that he did.
Yeah.
Lately, it's usually I'm just looking at like all these vinyl records.
Yeah. Shove, yeah, all the little tiny spines of a vinyl record.
Yeah,
You can't even
yeah.
read
So
it.
it's a nice change of pace when you can actually read the
Right.
spine on something.
But I'm a vinyl guy too, you know what I mean? So I can't talk shit. But I love vinyl, but tapes are cool, man.
Yeah, yeah. Tapes are definitely on the comeback. I'm just waiting to see for that one band to do like an 8-track tape to like try and bring that wave back. Like that'll be
That would be
something.
crazy. That would be insane. And
Yeah.
you know what? I'd be here for it. Maybe maybe
Everyone's
we'll
got it.
be
Yeah.
maybe we'll be the first ones to do it. Maybe we'll just do an 8-track.
Ooh, there you go. Uh, like I know we've kind of jumped around this album. We kind of talked about like what would be a couple of the heavy hitters, the time that it's taken to finally see the light of day for this EP. Um, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything before we start to like uh, transition to the next like segment. Or is there anything that I might have missed between Sunday morning or Forget Me Nots that you want the people to know about?
Um, no, I mean all of our music is on, Spotify and Apple Music and Bandcamp and all that stuff. So if any, the hope is when people listen to this EP, they'll be excited enough to want to go back and listen to the older stuff. And we're still very, very proud of, the stuff that we made and put out. And it's nice to know that it's always there for people to go back to. Obviously, just do you want the newer stuff to be pushed and but if anyone wants to go listen to the old stuff too, we'll probably still be playing it at shows, because those songs are very near and dear to our hearts and uh people will hear them, but I guess that would be the only thing.
Yeah, dude. Well, like even like what I said when we first started, like Nothing Matters is still a solid EP.
Mm.
I'd say like the only difference, really, listening through that a couple times and like listening to this, is just you can kind of see like the little bit of growth
Yeah.
between everything. But
Mhm.
I don't want to say it's like a drastic difference where it's like a lot of bands put out their first EP, and this isn't a knock on them, but it's like a very like DIY basement recording, and you
Yeah.
can really tell like where they went, and like in between EPs sounds like years in the making.
Yeah.
Where this really sounds like a freshman to a sophomore EP, just like that nice little step up.
Mhm.
So I'm really stoked to see what that next step is going to be.
Yeah, I think I think really good point. We went to the same studio and the same guy did Nothing Matters and Forget Me Not. So there's that cohesiveness there. But I'm excited for the future too. I think we have a lot of good stuff in store.
Yeah, I'm very stoked. I hope everyone else is as stoked as I am because, Forget Me Nots is a solid EP, and I'm really stoked to finally have it on a streaming site when it's out. That way, I don't have to like go into like the link and listen to it through that way because it's fucking solid, dude. I'm stoked.
Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I
I-
gotta say, like
I'm
that's. Sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
excited. I'm excited for it to be on streaming too.
Yeah, because like doing this and like people send me their stuff ahead of time, and it's all fucking solid, and I'm always stoked on it. But then I'm always like, I'd really like to listen to that today, but I don't want to like dive into an email chain, try and find the link again, and like try and play it off something. Like I'm so ready. That's like my hard thing of like waiting on these is finding out new music and then having to wait that like a
I know.
month for it to finally come out.
Because you
But
got to wait just as long, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
you become connected with that. You know what I mean? Like you'll listen to something if you really like it, you really become connected with it, and you like shit. Well, now I got to do this and dive into this email and go all the way here, and it's a pain in the ass, man. I hear
yeah.
you.
But yeah, I'm very stoked for this one to finally be out. I would know everyone else is going to be just as stoked. Before we do transition, I know recently you guys did this house show with the homies in Goalkeeper,
Oh yeah.
and you filmed a little video for that. When is that video dropping?
It's a great question. I'm not entirely sure. Um, we have all the footage and stuff. Um, I think, I think we'll put it out as its own kind of separate entity. Um, but that was an unbelievably fun show. Uh, yeah, that was the homies and Scooped Up. They put out, they put on these house shows in Connecticut, and it was always good to have dude, Goalkeeper are literally our best friends. Like, I fucking love those guys so much, and it was just cool to be playing with them in that environment. So yeah, I think eventually, it'll come out somewhere. But it was a good show.
Yeah, dude, the pictures that I saw that are on your Instagram and I think also on the Twitter that I think Bill for sure took,
Yep,
like it
the
looked
goat,
like a
dude. Bill
yeah,
Cardell is the goat, man.
dude, goat for sure. Like it it looked like a solid fucking time just seeing. I think there was someone like crowd surfing in this like living room that you guys were playing in. Like it
Yeah, dude, it was a
it looked
tiny.
packed and wild.
It was a really, I think at the end of the night there were like 130 people in the room or something, and it was like literally just someone's living room. Um, but yeah, like our friends in Scooped Up, and this kind of goes back to like the Connecticut scene and kind of where it's at right now is like shit like that happens frequently. You know what I mean? Like shows like that happen frequently in Connecticut. And I think like I want people to know that. You know what I mean? I want people to know that like the scene in Connecticut is doing really, really well. And a lot of bands, it's you know, the guitar player in our band, Dom, always explains Connecticut is like it's not just the highway between New York and Boston. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot going on, especially around the New Haven area and stuff. And there's a lot of really good bands in Connecticut.
Dude, fuck yeah. Like that I think that's great that you said that because it's also like one of those things where if people don't know about it, they're not going to go there and try and book a show or play a show in
Mhm.
their area because they just think, oh, it's Connecticut. There's like nothing here. Like
Yeah.
I've also heard that same thing with like Rhode Island, where people skip over it all the time, but
Yeah.
then when you finally do go play a show in like one of those spots, it pops off so well because there's not those out of state bands coming in all the time.
Yeah.
And like I hope for people that are listening to this, like they hear this and then they're like, oh, maybe we should like go see what Connecticut's about and like start
Yeah.
booking more shit through your area.
Absolutely. And the more bands that come in, the more locals that get opportunities to play shows and that's how you build the scene. You know what I mean? It's just people giving a fuck and going to shows and being homies with each other and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And then you have someone from Minnesota go out there, you become friends, and then you come play in the Twin Cities, and then I
Dude,
get to
that's
see
gonna be our
Sunday
next
morning
stop.
in person. You know,
That's
that's
gonna
how it
do.
works.
We're gonna make this happen. Sunday morning in Minnesota is gonna happen.
Hell yeah. Uh, you know, but yeah, everyone go listen to Forgive Me Nots. We're gonna start to transition here. I know we kind of talked about some bevs in the beginning of the episode, but I always do this little segment, and I usually say, "This is beers with bands. You don't have to be drinking on these episodes because I'll definitely do that for you." But what are you drinking on this
Are you,
fine
are you
Tuesday?
on number two right now? Hold on.
Technically number three, but we don't count around here.
Hold on. I'm gonna pull out something new. I got the fridge right here. Hold on. This is what we're on right here. So the first one we had was the Fuzzy Baby Duck, New England Brewing Company, right in New Haven, Connecticut. This is also New England Brewing Company. This is Sea Hag,
Okay.
another IPA, very good IPA. I'm gonna correct this one. Here's um, I like beer, dude. You know what I mean?
Dude, you're telling me.
I like beer. Yeah.
See the sign behind me? Don't forget, beers with
Yeah,
bands.
dude, that's actually I the first thing when I got on the Zoom, that was the first thing I noticed. It's a sick sign.
Dude, thank you. I recently got it. I wish it would have been a little bit bigger, but not gonna
It's
complain too
perfect right
much.
there. I mean, it looks
Yeah, right there, it's
yeah,
fucking mint.
fantastic.
But yeah, I was really stoked to get that in the mail. Because I was like, I need to do a flag. He just needs to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, it's sick. You got some other cool ones too.
Yeah, I got Life Lessons,
Yeah.
Major League. Over here, I got mixtapes. Off camera, I have Forever Came Calling and Knuckle Puck as well.
Oh yeah, all sick bands. Awesome
Yeah,
band.
basically bands that have shaped my life. They get to be part of the recording room. It's because like I got I've said this before where like I got into pop punk and emo kind of later in my life. I'm
Mhm.
31. I fully got into like a lot of stuff really when I was like probably like more 16 to 17. And I didn't really get into like most DIY stuff until like probably 2013 ish.
Mhm.
So like I didn't grow up. All my friends grew up listening to Blink and stuff. So like I got to that party late where I'm just like who gives a shit? I'm gonna listen to all these bands instead.
Dude, and I had a I really didn't get into like you know pop punk and like kind of that stuff until later, kind of like the scene we're in now, until I was in high school too. I grew up on like classic rock and shit, and then I got into like hardcore and metal and stuff like that, and that was kind of like my formative years of music. And then when I got into high school, I started listening to, and like you know like like I said, like '90s alternative and early 2000s alternative is just like that shit was my bread and butter, dude. And it still is. Like I still listen to all those bands and albums like religiously.
Yeah,
But I was late to like the pop punk and all that stuff.
yeah. Like I remember, like I grew up in a town of about probably a couple hundred people, and there was just like one older kid on the bus, and he would just like hand me like CDs, mix CDs of just like listen to this, and that's how I found out about like Limp Bizkit,
Oh shit, really?
and yeah, and like a bunch of other bands that I don't even remember, maybe Disturbed and like some other bands that I don't remember
Mhm.
the names or never found out the names, but like it was like some really like new metal, like really weird, obscure, like hardcore stuff, and then
Yeah.
I started, doing my own thing, listen to rap, Listened to a lot of Hollywood Undead, and then
Dude,
branched into like
everyone was there, brother.
going from there.
Everyone,
Everyone was there, man. But
everyone.
I also came from a town of like my graduating class was 89 people, so like it
Oh,
wasn't like there wasn't like it wasn't like in a big city where you're exposed to a bunch of shit. It's just like you're exposed to what you can find to get your hands on.
dude, that's insane. 89 people.
Yeah,
Holy shit. Dude, like I graduated with like maybe 125 and I thought that was like not a lot. 89 is crazy. That's what was that like?
that's it. I mean, it was chill. Like my entire high school was like probably 400 people. You could walk through the halls and you could just point at anyone randomly and you would know their name,
Yeah.
probably who their brother and sister were, who their parents were. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and like the neighboring city, the next like bigger city by us, like that I, if you want to go get groceries, you went there.
Uh-huh.
Um, their graduating class was probably like 200 people. So like
Oh,
they had to go to
phenomenal.
like
Yeah.
like well it was way bigger than what we were, so like we did our entire graduation. This is total sidetrack for everyone that's still listening, but our entire graduation was done in our high school gym. They had their graduation was so big that they had to go to the college's basketball arena to do
Damn.
their graduation.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, so my graduation day was literally an hour and theirs is like an all day thing. It was fucking tight.
At least it was quick, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was over with, you know, that's good. You were out of there.
Yeah. Uh, but enough reminiscing about high school. This started with a beer swing, and we got to high school. It feels like I'm drunk already.
Right?
Um, but to end off these episodes, we usually talk about some fun stories from your time in music. Obviously, you've done some touring. This is usually stories about either time in music, touring, shows, recording music videos. As I normally say, they can be anything horrendous to tremendous, or any adjective in between. Uh, Easy way to think about it is think about the stories you always reminisce about with your friends. Those are usually the best stories that everyone loves to hear.
Oh my God. There's so many. And I think that just goes to show how close of a group we are. I think we're very fortunate that there's five of us and we all are like super, super close and literally brothers and like best friends, you know what I mean? And and that's what it's all about. But dude, there's so many fucking moments. The one that comes to mind is so the song Mon Calamari on the EP. Um, Mon Calamari is like a species of people from Star Wars, like Admiral. Are you familiar with Star Wars?
I am, but I didn't pick up that reference at
All
all.
right, so do you know who Admiral Akbar is?
Yeah,
The guy who says this is a trap.
it's a trap. Yeah.
Yeah. So his species of in Star Wars is called Mon Calamari. So we recorded the EP in like December of 2021 or 2022. I can't remember. But it was in December, and for some reason, dude, we were just eating so much shrimp in the fucking studio. Like, dude, Dom came back from Walmart with like a wheel of shrimp. So so before like we would track something, like before I would do vocals or do a guitar or Eric would do drums, like we would all take a shrimp and just cheers the shrimp and then eat it. And even our producer Frank, he would do it too. So that's kind of why we called it Mon Calamari. But it's just like dumb shit like that, just but like, we have a lot of fun on the road too. We have this little thing called a zip chip. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
So a zip chip is basically like a silicone frisbee, but it's literally like this big. It's really small.
Okay.
And it kind of just fits in your hand, but you throw it like this. You can't really throw it like a normal frisbee, but you throw it like that. And like before shows, we would spend hours playing zip chip, just throwing it across highways and streets and shit, and just doing ridiculous things and like making mixtapes of like trick shots and shit like that. Uh, So yeah, we stay active, man. We like to have a lot of fun when we're on the road.
I mean, really, that's what you want. Because like you kind of mentioned earlier, we're like you found out some drives are like long and brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we are very well accustomed to in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But like you want your whoever you're in the van with to not just be a total drag. You want to have those fun moments.
Yeah.
Um, like I remember one time, I think I've told this before, is we played a house show in New Jersey, and we showed up, plenty of time before the show started, and these were all like college kids, and by this time it's like the band that I'm with, it's our last tour. We know like the band is kind of dying after this. People are moving away, so like we're all having a good time. We killed like a case of beer every day, uh, like just degenerates. But we got
Yeah.
there. We had plenty of time, and I remember there was a moment where two of the dudes were in their driveway. Two of my guys were in their driveway just playing beer skate, and then two other of my guys were on happened to get on the porch roof of this house, and we're just beer bonging off the porch. And like I don't think these like I still to this day do not think that these college kids were ready for what was coming out of that van when we got there, because we just like raged way too hard for
Dude, that's the
no
Midwest.
reason.
Though.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
in your blood, man. You know what I mean? Like that.
And like
that-
they weren't prepared for it at all. And like I think there's a couple pictures, and I was just like, none of these other people are drinking except for our entire crew. How bad does this look right now?
That's
Um,
so.
Still had a great time.
I
But
can
then we
only
would
imagine.
also, yeah, and then we would also do. We played a lot of What Are the Odds when we were on
Mm.
the road, um, and we played a stupid game called Hey Cow is what we called it. Where basically you just drive down the road. If you see animals in a field, let's say it's horses, you roll down their window, yell "Hey horse," and however many horses can turn and look at you, that's the amount of points you got for that round.
We're definitely gonna do that on our next one. That's absolutely happening. I'm gonna message you and let you know how it goes soon.
Dude, fuck yeah. I've been telling that one to everyone, and I just want like it to like encapsulate the total DIY touring community of just everyone doing Hey Cow from now on.
Dude, I'm telling you, we're gonna keep it alive. Don't worry.
But yeah, we did. There was a few What Are the Odds that we never got super crazy with it, like some people in our scene did. Like there's some weird ass shit that people have done.
I believe it.
Because
I believe absolutely.
yeah, I remember one time we just got done playing a show, and I think we were in like a Taco Bell, and someone did What Are the Odds that our drummer would eat his receipt, and he failed, so he had to eat his receipt in front of like the two other people that were standing in line, and they're just like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" So we explained what are the odds to them, uh, and then they were a lot more reasonable with us. It was weird.
That's so funny. What's your go-to fast food?
Uh, if I'm on the road, I mean, usually we would hit McDonald's. It's the cheapest thing out there. If I'm feeling leisurely, BK probably. It feels a little bit classier. Um,
Top of the cane.
One thing that I really miss. That's the one. Like the main thing I miss. This isn't. This might sound fat, but like the one thing I miss about being on the road is like hitting all the spots that we don't have in our area.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
cookout in the in like the south. Like we don't have that up here.
We don't
Like
either.
yeah.
Honestly, we don't have shit up here. Like we just got our first canes in
Oh really?
Connecticut. Like, bro, like the first one ever. You know what I mean? It's like 45 minutes to an hour for me. You know what I mean? So it's not, I haven't even been there yet.
Well, the sad part is too. You drive that 45 minutes to an hour, and then since it's the first one open, you're still gonna have to wait like an hour, hour and a
Dude, it's
half.
insane. I think the day it opened, there was like, they had like police there trafficking. You know what I mean? Just because it was insane. Everyone wanted
Yeah.
cane. I don't blame them, dude. Canes is good as fuck. Um, we you know what? We'll stop anywhere, bro. Honestly, like McDonald's is usually, go to, we're soldiers in Ronald's army, but Taco Bell and shit like that. I don't do Taco Bell anymore. I've had too many bad experiences with Taco Bell, so I don't do it anymore. But dude, like last time. So actually, funny story. This is another one about tour. Uh, we played in New Jersey and we stayed at Mark's from Goalkeepers that night because it was, around the Philly area. Um, and we went to Taco Bell in Jersey after the show. And I was sleeping on Mark's floor, and Eric was sleeping on Mark's floor too. And Eric gets in the middle of the night and just starts throwing up everywhere in the bathroom, dude. And the next day we were driving. I think we were going back to New York, like New York City, and we had to stop at a rest stop. I was throwing up in the bathroom, dude, and it was because of the Taco Bell. I'm
Damn.
100% convinced. Eric and I were the only ones to throw up, but dude, like just bad memories of Taco Bell, man.
Yeah, dude. I remember this one time we played. I think it was Lincoln, Nebraska, and one of the bands was kind enough to let I think probably like 8 dudes stay at their house, and we were like, dude, thank you so much. And they're like, hey, the only thing you guys need to be mindful of is there's a root that has gone through one of the pipes in the yard. So just like if you're gonna use the bathroom, like don't overdo it. And we're like, dude, we got you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we're not gonna do anything
Yeah.
crazy. And of course, we had all for some reason decided to go to. Oh yeah, because there's not a Five Guys where we were living, so we are like, oh, let's go to Five Guys. We'll get like a burger and a fuck ton of fries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that was a bad idea because we fucked up her plumbing, bad. Like to the point where like the bass player came out of the bathroom and was like he didn't want to say it, but we were like, dude, what just happened? He's like, it's 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 bad. It's like clogged.
That's
It's
all you
not
have to
going down.
say, dude.
And we're like, oh, like we felt so bad. Uh, but oh, man, yeah. Five
Price you gotta
Guys,
pay, man, dude.
yeah,
Five
it
guys,
was
Five Guys is crazy because you literally have to take out a loan
that
to
too,
get food there because it's so fucking expensive, dude. It's insane. It's like $20 for a hamburger, and
dude. Right?
insane. They don't even have the peanuts anymore. They used to have peanuts there.
Mm,
Like you used to just be able to get them for free. They don't even fucking do that anymore.
yeah, ridiculous.
Type of world we live in, man. You know what I mean?
But I remember, and then our second to last tour, we we called it the excuse to get In and Out Burger. So we just toured to California. Like we actually played shows on the way and on the way back, but just
What's your thoughts on In and Out? Do you like it?
it was good.
I
I
think
haven't
it's
had it in like a few years, so it's been a while.
yeah. Yeah. The last time I had it, it was good. Um, I didn't think it was like, I didn't blow me away by any means, but it was solid.
Yeah, yeah. But I also hear too from some people that like the things to make it better are on like the secret menu, and I'm like,
Oh, okay.
well,
I got to
people
get
from
on there.
not, yeah, I'm like, well, we're not from here, like we're not gonna know the secret menu, and they're like, then you're just gonna get a burger, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got to get on that secret menu big time next time I'm out there.
But yeah, like I've been meaning to hit, try and get In and Out again. I also need to try Whataburger. I hear like
I heard
that's
it's
if
good too.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hear that one's really good, but I never get down far enough south to like try that one out.
Mhm.
But one of these days, I'll maybe get down there. Who knows?
Absolutely. You got it.
Yeah. But like we I know we've kind of like we talked some burgers. We talked Sunday morning. We kind of hit a bunch of points throughout this whole episode. This has been a fun ride. I
Yeah.
gotta say that. But as we start to wind down, I do like to leave off these episodes on a high note. And I know this could be a loaded question for some people, but from your time in Sunday morning, what has been your favorite moment that you've experienced so far?
Oh my God. Um, we've we've been like um been very like grateful and opportunistic. We've played with a lot of cool bands. Um, I think for me, there's not really one specific moment that like stands out. Um, like we've played with, some real like we've played with Microwave and Boston Manor and stuff like that in Connecticut, like opening the show and stuff like that. And like those were really cool moments. But for me, like being in the studio with everyone or demoing new songs and shit like that, and kind of just like, and even just like touring and being in the van with, with everyone is just like, there's nothing else like it. You know what I mean? Like that, those are the moments where it's like, I really wish I should appreciate them more in the moment, than kind of reminiscing and looking back on them. And I think this question will make me appreciate that, appreciate it more when we do these runs in June and July. But just like, stupid shit like that, man, like just getting out of the van and throwing the zip chip around, or going to fucking Burger King and stuff like that. Like just being together and meeting new people and meeting new bands and just sharing this connection through the DIY scene and music. It's just, there's really nothing else like it. You know what I mean? I've really haven't experienced anything in life, anything like that. So I think, just little moments like that and shit that I really should just appreciate more. Uh, that's what it's all about.
Dude, 100%. Like that's what I miss about being on the road is
Yeah.
just being with my friends in the van. Yeah, we might be driving for 6 to 8 hours, but just being with your friends, no responsibilities, no real cares, and then
Yeah.
meeting people across the country that are you make a connection with and you become friends with them for the long run.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
that's the shit.
That's a really big, I met some unbelievably, like we talked about the goalkeeper guys, those are just unbelievably sweet people and just good people. And there's so many other bands that we've met along the way that are just, that's what it's all about, man.
Dude, 100%. Like, well, I mean, we started talking beginning of this episode about like the community that you
Yeah.
kind of surround yourself with, and like the East Coast, and I feel like it's a good note to end off this episode of like just surround yourself with good people, build up that
Mhm.
community wherever
Absolutely.
you're at, build up your scene. Um, you know, Wes, like this has been a great conversation. This has been a good night.
Dude, I've had
You know,
so much fun.
it's been fucking
I've
sick.
had a blast.
Uh, Forgive Me Not is great. It's incredible. If anyone's looking for merch, music, or Sunday mornings in general, where can they find it?
Um, so at this point, where the episode's released, there's going to be tapes on the Open Your Ears website. I think it's just openyourearsrecords.com. So anything you need to get Sunday morning related, you can get it from there. And if not, come out to a show. Follow us on Instagram at Sunday Morning CT. We're on Twitter too at Sunday Morning CT. Come to a show, buy some shirts, hang out. Yeah, that's where you can find us.
Well, depending on where you found this episode, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, Threads, or you watch the YouTube version and got to see Wes's lovely face like I just tonight, make sure you check the description down below. Hit those hyperlinks, go follow them on all the socials. Be ready for those upcoming shows. Be ready for new music in the future, and also go pick up a tape. And like I said, I'm not going to be able to make it out to these East Coast shows, so you all have to go do that for me and report back and let me know how it goes. Um, Wes, one last big thank you to you for taking the time out of your Tuesday. This has been a great time. Album is sick. Everyone go listen to Forget Me Nots. And I'll catch everyone on the next episode.
Dude, thank you so much again. I really appreciate you and I had a great time, great conversation, and hopefully we could do this again. Drink some more beers down the road.
Dude, hell yeah. Anytime you're in the area too, more than welcome to stop by. We'll have some beers in person for
Dude,
sure.
Minnesota is going #1 on our Midwest list. Right? So whenever we come out to the Midwest, it's gonna be Minnesota first.
Dude, hell yeah. Can't wait. Everyone heard it here first. Minnesota's on top right now. But I'll catch everyone on the next episode. See you.
Peace.
Beers with Biz. Beers with Biz.